Today, we're going to talk about 5 simple but proven steps or strategies that'll help you protect your marriage or even help you recover after an infidelity. We've all heard it said that you can determine what's important to people by looking at their checking account and how they spend their money. And if you look at your withdrawals, what would it say about the importance of your marriage? What percentage of your income is allocated to your primary relationship? Another way to assess value is by time invested. And regrettably, most people spend more time planning a vacation or even their financial future than they do for their marital future. You can also assess what we value by what we protect. And we don't leave money laying around because we believe it has value. And we don't want somebody to take our hard-earned cash for their own benefit. And those who value money work not only at protecting it, but increasing the amount that they have. They make time to create budgets and to meet financial advisors and to assure a good return on whatever investments they're in. They analyze companies before making investments to minimize risk. And my question is this week is, do you go to the same lengths to protect your marriage as we do our money? All too often, but not always, those who stray are the ones that are underinvested in the primary relationship. Their contribution to the relationship may be their income, but if money provides the sum total of your investment, then you have to ask, what's the loss if you walk away? But if you've worked together to build a home together, to raise kids together, and to share a life together, the size of that investment may help you see that there's probably something worth recovering or at least attempting to salvage. So this week, I just want to keep it very simple and just talk about 5 little tips to the investing and the recovery of your marriage. These work, and especially even work, if your marriage has been rocked by an infidelity or an addiction. So the first point I want to make is that we have to protect us. You know, most newlyweds believe they're immune to marriage problems when they first get married, and that infidelity could never happen to them. But unfortunately, it's the very thought that makes us susceptible. No one plans to cheat. I've never seen a wayward and unfaithful spouse that woke up one morning and said, I'm going to have an affair today. But given the right situation, any one of us, all of us, can be vulnerable. So partnering together to protect your marriage places a value in the relationship. You know, marriages are made up of 3 separate components. There are the 2 individuals, and then there's the us. It's what makes recovery so difficult when it's been impacted by an infidelity. There are 3 recoveries that have to be addressed, and each one of them is unique. There's your recovery, there's your spouse's recovery, and then there's the recovery of the relationship. The us is what we call it. This us is something that we talk frequently about in marriage counseling. Far too often, we don't consider the life that is this us until there's a problem. And it takes a loving protection and even this ongoing maintenance. It's just like feeding and protecting my own body. The second point is this clarification around the word monogamy. You've got to take time and have a conversation about what that word means. And it might seem silly to some of you, but you'd be surprised how many people have even a slightly different view of what that looks like. And assuming that your spouse sees things as you do, not only in this issue, but in many of them, could be a bit naive. And without conversations, couples are at risk of this tragic misunderstanding and this endless relationship problems. It's also a great exercise to hear your spouse's heart and what they believe and why they believe it and where did that belief come from. And for them to hear your heart, it's so much better for your future together if you'll take the time to do that and then keep updating those files. Have many conversations. This isn't just one. And third is to establish some healthy boundaries for your marriage or your long-term committed relationships. These agreed upon boundaries always help marriages and long-term committed relationships when it comes to preventing infidelity. And even great marriages have relationship problems, and allowing yourself to be in a high-risk situation just creates unnecessary potential for marital and personal destruction. If they're not written down, then your boundaries may not really exist in the mind of both people, at least equally. Apart from planning, feelings and wandering emotions will be your guide. Develop your strategies for keeping you both safe. You may be thinking that good morals are enough, but I'm here to tell you, based on my experience, they're not. I challenge that thought. While our morals and values certainly guide us, it's the boundaries that protect our values and our morals from being stressed to a breaking point. Couples need to discuss and revise when necessary, and then record the boundaries that they've agreed upon. The other interesting thing about boundaries is you really can't enforce them on someone else. The boundaries are the things that we've got to set for ourselves to protect us and to protect our spouse or our family. So I want you to consider and think about boundaries and have some conversations around that. And the fourth point is to make it a point to brag about your marriage, to brag about your spouse. It's so easy for us to get caught up in and pay attention to and feel all this stuff around what irritates us. But appreciation requires some focused intention. Whatever captures my attention is going to capture me. You've heard Rick probably say that 1,000 times. And whatever I focus on is going to expand in my own mind. If the irritating aspects of my mate or the marriage are the focus of my intention, then that will continue to grow and grow until it's all that I perceive. On the other hand, if I focus on what I appreciate about what I find cute or adorable or that I love about my partner or the relationship, that's the thing that will grow and grow and grow. This also prevents future relationship problems. Bragging about your marriage and your partner forces you to look for what you appreciate. It promotes pride in the life that is that us that I talked about in point number 1. So I encourage you to find a way to do that. If you've worked with me, you know that you have to write down 100 appreciations or things that you find cute or adorable about your spouse. And even if you don't work with me, I would challenge each and every one of you couples, especially if you're further down the road in your recovery, to just take that assignment and just go do it. It's really for you. You're the one that's going to benefit, the one that writes that list more than your spouse. So the fifth point I want to make is don't try to please your spouse. Rather, make sincere attempts to enjoy them and to honor them. If merely pleasing your spouse is your goal, then your mate is going to be the one responsible for your success and your pleasure and your happiness. And if enjoying your spouse is your goal, then you determine your happiness and your pleasure and your success. And when a couple first gets together, we don't hang out with each other to please each other. When we get together, we hang out because there's no place we'd rather be, or that's the place we enjoy the most. I'm not sure where we got the idea that the number one role in our marriage is to please our spouse after the wedding. It changes somewhere in there. When we enjoy being around our spouse and our home, we begin to see them as a true pleasure, as a partner, somebody that we really enjoy being around. Alternately, when we're fixated on trying to please our partner, the relationship can become a chore, and we start keeping score, which never works out very well. Some simple, true relationship advice is just to enjoy your spouse. There was a reason why you got together to begin with. And when you enjoy your partner, they'll see how much you're into them. And this is a two-way street here as well. Enjoyment clearly communicates that they matter and that you want to be with them. When we enjoy our mate, even if we fail to meet all their needs, they don't feel slighted because your attention allows them to write off any disappointment that they may feel. At A Fair Recovery, our mission is to restore those impacted by infidelity to extraordinary lives of meaning and purpose. I mean, what's the benefit of working through the trauma of infidelity if your best outcome is to have a miserable or just a so-so marriage? The goal isn't survival here. It's a better and a new life. You can't go back to what you had. That's so rare where couples want to go back to the marriage they had. They want something different. And it's a difficult moment when I share that truth with individuals in crisis, but there's also this big aha that comes with that. The focus becomes not going back, but going forward and co-creating together a new marriage and a new and better relationship than you ever had. And it is possible. I see it every single day. To continue your healing journey, consider going to an EMS Weekend. We've been doing them virtually since April with the same success that we experienced them in person for many, many years. And hopefully we'll return to that soon. If you're watching this elsewhere, please go to the AR website and check out the EMS Weekend under the Programs tab. There's lots of information there, and we would love to see you there, to join us there, even virtually, very soon. Thanks so much for joining me this week. I'll be back again next week, and just know that we wish you all the best.